God we trust, says on the bill, from boom to bust, may give a thrill, it can steal your life, and dominate your goals, make trouble and strife.
Hi there, Johnny here from JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk, and welcome to episode number 8 of the Paper Deity mixing series. And we're hurtling headlong towards the final phase of this mix, and I really do hope that you have found it useful and helpful and instructive, because that's the idea basically. And as we have gone through this mix, we have experimented with different EQs, different compressors. We've tried a few things out, and that's essentially what we're going to be doing in this episode. We are going to be doing some parallel compression. That's the focus of this episode, and we're going to try out a few different compressors and see what we like for doing this particular process. It's a bit of an advanced compression technique, but it's actually really quite easy to apply, in my opinion. And I think I'm maybe only using one particular aspect of parallel compression. My good friend Dave Vignola has done a really fantastic tutorial product on parallel compression that you should go and check out over at his website, which is homerecordingmadeeasy.com. You should go there and go and have a look at that particular package, because it's very, very thorough. He goes into a lot of the methodology and the rhyme and the reason and the wherefores and the whys and all of that. He's very, very thorough. So I recommend that if you're looking for a good tutorial specifically on parallel compression. I have one for free on my YouTube channel as well, in my compression series that I did a couple of years ago. I will be updating that compression series to bring it up to kind of Studio One 4, because those were all done in Studio One 3. So we're a way ahead of that now, and some of my understanding has developed and changed, and some of my opinions on how you should compress and when you should compress have changed as well. So I think, there will be a compression 2.0 series, but for right now, you will find that there's a parallel compression episode in that series for you to go to check out on this YouTube channel. So without any further ado, let's get started. So we're going to start out with the drums. But before we do that, we are going to just get this tune played so we can see where we're up to. So we'll play the second verse and the chorus, and so you can actually listen to where we've got up to in this mix so far. Here we go.
Let's go and flash the plastic, blow it all on hot girls and wheels. Let's do something drastic. In the morning we'll never feel. Where were you on Black Wednesday? Stood for hours outside the Northern Rock. Still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's cross? In God we trust, says on the bill, from boom to bust, may give a thrill, it can steal your life, dominate your goals, make a trouble and strife, seek another soul, this little paper deity.
Alrighty, so there we are. So that's what we have so far. It's actually sounding pretty good. And so now we're in the kind of finessing stage of the mix, is what I call it, where this is all about taste, and everybody's taste is going to be different. So for some people, you might not use any parallel compression at all, and that's absolutely fine. So, don't worry about this, but you will find this educational anyway, and maybe it might be something that you would want to try out. So let's get started. I've got, just having listened to that verse and chorus, I've got some clear ideas, certainly to start with, of what compressors we might use. And then we'll just kind of make it up as we go along and see what we like and what we don't like as we go. So for the drums, I'm thinking of a third-party plugin, which I really, really, really cannot recommend more highly that you get hold of. It is super, super cheap. I have a video on this particular plugin. I did a whole review of this, and it's about 37 minutes long, that video. If you've not seen it, go check it out. But basically, I was going to make like a little 10-minute demo of this plugin. It's the MJUC compressor by Klanghelm. And to be honest, I was having so much fun with it, I just kind of lost track of the time. I wasn't really focusing on the time. I was just playing with it. And I really, really loved this guy. So, and I pretty much use it in most mixes. So here we go. Let's bring this in. And if you've not seen this before, it's basically 3 compressors for the price of 1. And they're all ever so slightly different. So this one's kind of like a 1950s style compressor. This one is a little bit more 1960s, 70s maybe. This one a little bit more modern. So kind of maybe 1980s plus style compressor. And they are absolutely fantastic. As you can see, it's fairly stripped back on this one. You just get the one compressor knob, a makeup knob, and a timing knob, timing switch really, and 2 modes, compress or limit. You also have this nice drop-down panel as well, and we're going to use some of the functionality in here. We're going to be playing with the timbre, and we're going to be playing with the drive as well. As we do this parallel compression, because we can really, really finesse it with these 4 controls here. And these 4 controls appear in each of the 3 types of compressor, which is awesome. So I think we're going to use this really modern one, and we are going to slam the living daylights out of our drums. And so before we do that, I'm actually going to have this turned down, and I'm going to crank this, and then we're going to gradually turn it up and see what it sounds like. So what we will do is we will go over to our individual drums, because that's where this parallel send is. And this parallel send is going to our parallel drum bus over here. Just move this guy over here. So the drums are being sent pre-fader over to here, to this channel here, which has got this guy sat right on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to solo up just the drums, not the overheads. We'll leave those out for now. And then we'll go across over to here, and we will solo this guy as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to listen to the drums in the verse and the chorus, and we're going to crank this. I'm just going to go crazy for now, and then we'll back it off if we have to. So we're not actually listening to it at the moment, so you can't hear it changing just yet. But I'm just going to slam this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to turn this up and tuck it in underneath. Okay, now we'll go and have a listen to exactly what this sounds like on its own. So we'll mute that. Oh, I didn't want to open that. Okay, for some reason we're not getting any audio. Not quite sure why that is. Let's open this guy up again. Okay, what's going on here?
Let's do something.
Okay, I'm not quite sure what was going on there. But now we're hearing the parallel compression. So what we're going to do is just turn this up a little bit more, so we can really hear it. And I'm going to click these 3 buttons here, the I stage. That's more like it. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting, and that's the way we want it. We want it absolutely disgusting. So the idea with parallel compression is to really heavily compress. This might be overdoing it, so we might adjust a little bit later. And I'm going to darken the timbre up a bit as well. Yep, lovely. Lovely and disgusting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tuck this in. So I'm going to undo that. So we're back in everything in, and we're going to turn this right down, and then we're going to gradually turn it up. What's going on here? Ah, that's why. Okay, try again.
Let's go and flash the plastic. Blow it all on hot girls and wheels. Let's do something drastic. In the morning we'll never feel. Where were you on Black Wednesday? Stood for hours outside the Northern Rock. Still hungover from Tuesday.
Okay, that's all cool. Let's take the vocal out so that it's not distracting us for the moment. And we'll just listen just to the band. Okay, I think I need to turn up the makeup gain just a little bit more. Try again. Okay, so hopefully what you're able to hear, if you're listening to this on studio headphones or studio monitors, hopefully what you're able to hear is that this heavy compression that we then tuck in underneath, and I've got this fader at -20, what it's doing is it's adding some excitement and some energy to the drums, and it's bringing the kick and the snare drum a little bit further forward in the mix. So hopefully you can hear that, but let's A-B it just to be sure.
Let's go and flash the plastic. Blow it all on hot girls and wheels. Let's do something drastic. In the morning we'll never feel. Where were you on Black Wednesday? Stood for hours outside the Northern Rock.
Cool. So it's bringing the snare drum and the kick drum a little bit further forward and adding some excitement, because obviously you've got a lot more of the room being turned up, because the compressor basically, it reduces the transients and everything else, but it also turns up all the low energy stuff as well. So the whole room sound gets turned up as well, and that adds some energy and some excitement and some drive to this. So I think that sounds pretty cool. So let's move on to the bass, and we'll do the same thing, but I think we'll use a different compressor this time. I think we'll use the Fat Channel LA2A style compressor, and we'll see how we get on with that. I think that might be a good choice. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to utterly slam this and then tuck it in underneath, and hopefully we'll get some nice extra punch and extra weight to the bass as well. Not that it needs a whole lot. So this will be fairly subtle, I think, once we get it in. So let's get started with it.
Let's go and flash the plastic. Blow it all up.
Okay, helps if you don't turn the gain knob when you want to turn this one.
Let's go and flash the plastic. Blow it all on hot girls.
Okay, cool. We've got some signal coming in, which is what we want. So let's go and solo that. And we will also solo the bass. Where's my bass? There is my bass. And I didn't want the channel editor to come up, but that's okay. All right, so let's have a listen to that together. Here we go.
Northern Rock, still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's crud?
Okay, so the challenge now is we want to tuck this in underneath. So let's get back to the verse, and then we'll gradually bring this in.
Let's go and flash the plastic, blow it all on hot girls and wheels. Let's do something drastic. In the morning we'll never feel. Where were you on Black Wednesday? Stood for hours outside the Northern Rock.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. It's tucking it in nicely, but it's giving it a little bit of it's bringing it a little bit further forward and adding a little bit of weight to the bottom end. Now, the other thing that we can do in parallel is we can give this a little bit of saturation as well. So we can certainly experiment with this. I'm going to go and grab my saturation knob if I can find it. Where is it? There it is. So we can get this in and we can put this ahead of the compressor. Drop it in ahead of it. There we go. And let's just solo the parallel compression channel on its own, and we'll turn this up a bit and see if we like it. Okay, let's bring that in with everything else.
Let's go and flash the plastic, blow it all on hot girls and wheels. Let's do something drastic. In the morning we'll never feel. Where were you on Black Wednesday? Stood for hours outside the Northern Rock, still hungover from Tuesday. Must we? In God we trust, says on the bill.
Yeah, I like that. That's adding a bit of extra bite to it, so it cuts through a little bit more. So particularly if you're listening, if you were to reference this on maybe earbuds or on a small little Bluetooth speaker or a cell phone speaker, that might come through a little bit more as well. So that is helpful. Okay, we're going to skip the rest of the band for now. We're going to go straight over to the lead vocal. And again, I've got a relatively clear idea of what I might want to do here. So for this, I'm going to grab the fat channel again. This time we're going to use this guy, the FC670, which is kind of a Fairchild style compressor. And again, I'm just going to slam this on its fastest setting. And I'm going to crank it. And I'm going to crank the threshold quite a lot as well. And this is me dialing in without really listening to it. That's okay. Let's go and solo up the lead vocal. And we'll solo our parallel lead vocal bus as well.
Let's go and flash the plastic, blow it all on hot girls and wheels. Let's do something drastic. In the morning we'll never feel. Where were you on Black Wednesday? Stood for hours outside the Northern Rock, Still hungover from Tuesday.
So there you go. That brings up all of the room as well. So you can hear my tiny little studio that I was in at the time when this was recorded, and you can hear the computer fan, and you can hear all sorts of stuff that's brought up in the background when we turn this up a little bit more.
Let's go and flash the plastic. Blow it all on hot girls and wheels.
Suitably disgusting. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do the same again. We're going to just blend this in. So here we go.
Let's go and flash the plastic. Blow it all on hot girls and wheels. Let's do something drastic. In the morning we'll never feel. Where were you on Black Wednesday? Stood for hours outside the Northern Rock. Still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's crud? In God we trust, says on the bill. From boom to bust, make every thrill. It can steal your life, dominate your goals.
There, so that brings the vocal forward even more. Arguably, this is probably not necessary on a song like this because of the style that it is. But I'm actually quite liking this right now. But, you know, we can always come back and we can adjust these levels and make them even more subtle. But the idea is that this is something felt rather than heard specifically. Okay, so let's review and listen to what we have so far with these parallel buses. And I'm going to highlight them all. And I'm going to mute them to start with, and then I'm going to bring them in. So let's go back to the start of the verse.
Let's go and flash the plastic. Blow it all on hot girls and wheels. Let's do something drastic. In the morning we'll never feel. Where were you on Black Wednesday? Stood for hours outside the Northern Rock. Still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's crud? In God we trust, says on the bill. From boom to bust.
Okay, cool. I think I'm going to copy this over to the BVs, to be honest. Use the same settings and just dial this in a little bit as well. So let's go to that chorus.
Take this banker's crud. In God we trust, says on the bill. From boom to bust, make every thrill. It can steal your life, dominate your goals. Make a trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little paper deity.
Okay, lovely. I think this is sounding pretty good. So let's do a Control S to save. All right, so what are we going to do with the rest of the instruments here? Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the settings I have for the drums to the percussion. And I'll leave that as is. And I'm just going to turn that up just a hair. And we'll just check that with the chorus.
Take this banker's crud. In God we trust, says on the bill.
Ah, there's no pre-fade ascend going to there. Or is there? Yes, there is. Okay, so it should be going through.
Take this banker's crud. In God we trust, says on the bill. From
Okay, we need to finesse the settings on this, quite likely.
boom to bust, make every thrill. It can steal your life, dominate your goals. Make a trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little
All right. That sounds suitably disgusting. Let's bring that in to the chorus again.
Take this banker's crud. In God we trust. Says on the bill. From boom to bust. Make every thrill. It can steal your life. Dominate your goals. Make it trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little paper deity.
Okay, we're getting there. So what are we going to do with the guitars? Well, I quite would like maybe another LA2 on the guitars, because I don't want anything too fast on the guitars. So let's try that. So again, we'll just turn that up. Similarly to what we had on the other, to what we had on the bass. So let's go into the chorus, because there's a lot more guitars in the chorus.
Take this banker's crud. In God we trust. Says on the bill. From boom to bust. Make every thrill. This banker's crud. In God we trust. Says on the bill. From boom to bust. Make every thrill. It can steal your life. Dominate your goals. Make it trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little paper deity.
There we go. I mean, that really doesn't need to be much more than that. I can probably bring that down just a smidge. So let minus 36 dB. So basically, we're talking about really tucking these in underneath, basically just to add just a little bit of an edge to what there already is, and not a whole lot more. So basically, we're tucking these in underneath. We're not allowing these to go very high or very loud at all. Okay, so what about the keyboards? What we're going to do there? Keyboards are fairly percussive, but there's lots of sustain in the Hammond B3. I'm going to experiment, is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in another fat channel, and I'm going to experiment with the FET style. And I'm going to really crank that input up, and I'm going to go all buttons in. I'm going to set everything as fast as possible, and I'm going to tuck this in underneath and see what we get here. So let's solo up the keys. Okay, that's pretty squashed. So let's see what that's like in context. We'll gradually turn this up.
Take this banker's crud. In God we trust. Says on the bill. From boom to bust. Make every thrill. It can steal your life. Dominate your goals. Make it trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little paper deity.
You know what? I'm actually gonna remove this guy, and I'm gonna go back with another MJUC. I think I might actually prefer this, and I'm going to put this, I'm going to be on the Mark 1 for this, I think, and we'll crank this, and we'll put it into limit mode, and we'll make this a little darker. Okay, let's try this instead. So let's solo up that. right, let's try this. Let's turn this down a bit, and we'll see what this is like.
Take this banker's crud. In God we trust. Set us on the bill. From boom to bust. Make every thrill. It can steal your life. Dominate your goals. Make a trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little paper deity.
Okay, I think that sounds pretty good to me. All right, so I am going to leave the horns. I don't think we need to do anything with the horns, and we've not got to the solo sax yet. So let's have a look at that just now. So let's move past this little bit here. We'll see. We'll have a listen to this, and we'll see if we really actually need anything on the solo tenor. I don't think we will, but let's have a listen. Okay, I'm going to experiment and try an LA2A style on there and see what we come up with. The cool thing about this kind of compression is you can hear those keys in between phrases. Which is very cool. I like the fact that you can hear those. Right, so let's turn this down. Let's take this out of solo, and let's blend it in. Yeah, actually, I like that. I wasn't sure whether we were going to need it, but I actually really quite like how that's turned out, actually. It's really brought out the girth of the tenor sax and some of the bite of the reed and some of the aggressiveness of the reed. The guy playing the tenor sax, Roger Key, I think he was blowing a 3 or a 3.5 on this particular horn. And it just really sounds great. And so this has really added a little bit of extra bite to it. So I think that's a worthy experiment there. All right, so I think we will wrap it up there because this has been an extra long video. This has been nearly 35 minutes. So I want to thank everybody very much for watching today's episode. And sorry, I just momentarily lost my train of thought. Happens as you get to my age. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this week's episode, and thank you so much for watching all of the episodes so far. We are very nearly at the end of this series. I will give you the heads up of next week's episode, which will be episode number 9. episode number 9, we will do a little bit of kind of finessing and finishing off kind of stuff, just to really polish this mix massively. And then we're going to get into mastering it. But before we get into mastering it, we are going to bring in my original mix from 2016, and we're going to spend the bulk of the episode, comparing this mix and the 2016 mix. I think that'd be really interesting to do because, as I said right on episode 1, I've not touched this song since 2016, so it'd be quite interesting to compare this mix with the 2016 one. So, yeah, it's going to be basically just doing final little bits of spit and polish on this mix, and then we'll bring in the 2016 mix and we'll compare the two. And then the final episode, episode 10, is the final episode of this series, and in that episode we will master this song. So if you are into mastering or interested in mastering, you'll get to see how I do a master for a single song. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. If it has, please hit that like button. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification button. And by doing so, you'll know when episode 9 and 10 come out. And also you'll know when my next live stream is. My live streams tend to happen on Sundays. They are called Sunday Night Live, if you don't know about them yet. Check them out. And I answer your questions. Basically, that's what Sunday Night Live is all about. And we demonstrate some mixing, songwriting and arranging techniques and all that kind of stuff. But it's primarily about your questions. So if you have questions that you would like answered, get them in the chat on the show. Next Next Sunday, being that it is Easter Sunday, there will be no official show, but I'm intending to do a casual kind of impromptu show where I will just come on YouTube and have a talk with you guys and wish you a happy Easter and all of that. If you celebrate Easter, if you don't, that's okay. And we can chat and you can ask some questions then. So we'll make it a casual kind of shorter show for Easter Sunday. And then next week, normal service will be resumed. So until then, folks, I will bid you a very fine farewell. Bye for now.
In God we trust, says on the bill, from boom to bust.